Highway Town Council meeting for October 11th, 2021. Everybody's present except Gerald, so we'll establish a quorum. I ask if you can stand.
Please bow your heads. Lord, we are meeting today to conduct matters of business. Guide our hearts and our minds in the spirit of fairness, right thought, and speech. Report your supreme wisdom upon our activities so that our affairs may reach a successful conclusion. Thank you for being our source of guidance today.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The first, I guess, order of business is adoption of the agenda as presented.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The next item is approval of minutes as submitted for the regular meeting of September 13th, 2021.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? First order of business we have, I guess, is Jeff Cudlow. As I saw you just got here, so we perfect timing. So we can get you in and get you out.
Welcome. So, let's see, I'll go do the rundown. Last time we had talked about the Public Works facility, and I've got those drawings. I bet we're about ready to go out for bid for those. And we're about there with that. The ball fields, I had presented a schematic design. We finally had enough on paper to put a price tag on that project.
Okay.
And I'm anticipating that that Buddy ball field would come in probably 650, 700,000. If that's in line with what y'all are comfortable with, we'll keep pressing forward on that. It's a really nice field.
Yeah.
I know of only one other in the state like that.
And we are putting in for some grants on all that stuff, so we'll go ahead and push on that, because I know that recreation, there's a number of them. There's a COVID one, I think, and there's one for recreation, and then we're also going to put in for the Southwest Louisiana tourists to help out on that also. So
Okay, awesome.
that's- all right.
Those are really the two items. Is there anything else?
Now, the one thing you need to be aware of on that field
Yes.
is those lights, because we need to be able to pressure, whatever the cost of that lights breakout is on the bidding of it, so that we can go against our insurance claim before it expires.
For replacement, understood.
Yes, yeah, I know they were at other locations, but in reality, we're not going to replace those in time for the 2-year expiration of insurance. So I want to be able to count it against that ball
Let's
field
use
so we can
these.
get the full price of replacement.
Understood. Okay, that's in the plan.
Yeah.
Pretty.
And then
Really
I
pretty.
guess the next would be working on getting an estimate on those back two fields, I guess would be the next,
Okay,
I know it's not as critical, because that one we want to work in the next year, because I think we talked about it's probably with the timing and everything, it won't be this physical year, but it will be at the start of the next physical
next
year.
year to get them ready. Well, perfect, because like I said, we had to look at the drainage and the big picture of this to get the Buddy ball field going, and then
Well, and we also, I don't know if you're aware, one of the things that we're having to do is on the water line going through the main thing.
Yes.
We're replacing that, so that's got to be done too.
Exactly.
Before all that, so that's on the agenda for tonight
Walt and I
too,
have
so.
discussed that.
Yeah, so we're trying to get it all done, as we
Okay.
can. As far as the replacements on that, we're still looking at $750,000 for the replacement of all the public works stuff over there underneath the, is that kind of the ballpark? that we're looking
On
at?
the high side, I think after, we've been massaging it, and I think we're gonna come in a little less than that. I should in a day or so have the numbers I'm looking for, so that we can be more exact with it, usually when,
Because a lot of that's gonna be insurance too. I wanna make sure we get that done too.
understood, yes.
Yeah. And I guess, Cindy, just out of curiosity, the ballpark, will that qualify for any FEMA money?
Yes,
So that's one, the reason I'm saying is, that, you know, it sounded like a pretty good amount of 650, but I want to let you know that that's,
they will only pay for what the insurance doesn't pay for.
well, I know, but that's,
We'll
we're
go after-
putting in those
Right,
something
go after
better,
the
so,
insurance first.
right, so. Fantastic.
Okay,
All right, now, I guess at some point, we'll also get with you about police station later on too. That's the next thing on the list. That, and then, of course, we're still looking at an aquatic center. Right now, with Iowa kicking butt everywhere, you know, we hadn't been able to get it quite as fast on that one, but that's
Okay.
another item, so.
yes, I met with the group about the aquatic center last week, and I'm putting my thoughts together.
Yeah, and just kind of the keeping, you know, some of that, we're not gonna be able to use the American Relief Act. So we're looking at right at little over $1 million maybe, you know, just for all practical purposes. And I'm know what we're looking at, there's some assistance that we could get, but keep that kind of in mind. If you know, if you're talking about a dollar figure, 1.1, 1.3, not any more than that.
Okay. Well, we can start there. It sounds there's
Yeah.
a broad vision for the facility, and so I shared with them that what we'd want to do is start off, sort of plan the whole thing out and dream, and then we can scale it back
Yeah.
to an initial phase, and then.
Well, and that's just want to make sure you know, it kind of helps you at least to know kind of what the ballpark is. I mean, maybe the council wants it a little harder, we could find more. If they want to, you know, be a little tighter, but that just kind of gives you a,
A
you know,
parameter.
yeah, an
Boundaries are good.
80-20, an 80-20, a 70-30, whatever, kind of go to at least shoot for, and then we'll see what it ends up. You know, if it's way on, you know, above, then that says, hey, what do we need to do? If it's close, then let's just see what it total actually ends up being, so.
All right, understood.
Thank you much. Anybody got any questions? Appreciate you coming here, and
My
I
pleasure.
know you're a busy Monday usually, so.
Getting it done. Thank y'all.
Thank
Yes, sir.
you.
Thank you, Jay.
Okay. The next item on the agenda is Walt. You want to give us updates on stuff?
Did you make reference to the Iowa High School football team, I thought? They're doing great, unbeaten, all righty. I mean, I'm thinking, look at this, you know?
And they're not even getting it close. They're not
Yeah,
even wanting to make
yeah,
it close. They
yeah.
just want to say, hey, let's play a half. And
I think that's wonderful. Every time I get the newspaper, I look for the Iowa team, did they do? And they're, like I say, they're knocking them down. First item of business is the motion to approve a final pay request with Clearlane for project I-2020-182, which is the asphalt paving of Barkley and Helen Street, and that is to RC Paving, and this is their retainage amount due, and it's $25,435.27, and it would be my recommendation that this be considered for payment.
So moved.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
And likewise, D.W. Jessen and Associates, final invoice for this project in the amount of $1,721.98.
So moved to pay that amount to D.W. Jessen.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
The next item of business is you made mention about the water line, that we're going to kill two birds with one stone. We're going to loop the south half of town with the north half, and also relocate a line that would be in conflict with the potential restroom for the Buddy Ball field. And right now, our drawings are basically finished. It would be my hope that we would get authority to advertise, receive bids. I can get the advertisement in the paper tomorrow, and that means we could receive on the Monday that we have our council meeting. We can receive that afternoon. We'll have the bid tabs available, and we can make a recommendation to award at next meeting. Right now, I'm about $195,000.
Yeah, and that 195,000, the government has given us, what was it, $500,000, Cindy, under the Americans Act, and so this would go, a good portion of it, not the full amount, because we also have some funds on the LGAP that we'll use against it. So we'll use roughly $160,000 of that money that we're supposed to use for water or sewer projects on this project. Now, and just a FYI, part of this project is to remediate potentially low-pressure problems or pressure problems that we're having north side of town around the mall and things that negatively impact our insurance ratings and things like that. So, you know, we're trying to take care of them so that we can get as low as insurance, we get as best insurance ratings as we can to keep your insurance costs low, because we know that's all getting blown up and going to significantly increase. So, I guess, can we have a motion to allow Walt to be able to advertise for this project?
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
We're taking off.
Here's a copy of the drawing we have right now.
For your viewing pleasure. The other items that we're working on, we still have the wastewater treatment plant oxidation repair.
Yes.
And I know we provided I guess it's our FEMA representative with a breakdown of the various components, because they were questioning why we need this and why do we need that. I believe that he was out of town. Cindy, have you heard anything back from him as far as, yay, you're right, we're going to give you the money? So we don't know that yet. So anyway, we're still working toward to make that bid package happen, and hopefully we hit a home run on that. The other project is our North Store Avenue drainage project. We have McManus Construction. We had hoped to issue the notice to proceed now, but their precast concrete drain basins are delayed, surprise, and they won't be ready till the third week of this month. So we're just going to drag our notice to proceed until they have materials. So
probably starting the first of next month, November, is that?
that would probably make sense that if they get there, because they're not going, they can't start without materials. So that's just an update. And like working with Jeff Cudlick, because you know it's really convenient. Our offices are across the street, and I can look in the window and see him, and I can go visit him. So it's so we're keeping the buddy ball going. So, and that is my report for the month of October.
Yeah, and one of the things I've asked Walt to do is looking at what we need to do to fix one of those streets over south of the Steins. You know, those streets that never got completed, and we're wanting to go ahead and do whatever we need to do to fix one of them, because
Yeah, you got Joshua's one of them, and the south, I think it's called Southfield subdivision.
Yeah, so we want to go ahead and get that, because
Yeah.
at this point, we've worked everybody's, or we will have, I think we're fixing to start next week, I understand, on Ash Ridge, you know, that part of the street that needs to be done, where you turn off to Ash Ridge, the four-way stop right there. They're going to start on that, or they're anticipating starting on that here within the next couple of weeks, depending on what they've got to finish up on. So that job is also on, and just FYI, potholes will be started, and I'll let Clayton talk about that too. But I just want to make sure we're all, you know, all the projects that we talk on
Yeah,
that.
I was going to try to do a budget, and then we can make a decision on how far we want
Yeah.
to march on that one. So.
Yeah, just like I say, you know, we've done so much all around town, and that's one area we hadn't hit. I want to make sure we hit it, you
Right.
know, when we can.
Looking at it today, if we do some maintenance and some overlay today, we're going to preserve it. If we wait a long time, then we're going to have to do a rebuild, which is not what you want to do.
Very significant
Yeah,
cost, so,
yeah,
you know, it's
It's-
one of them that you want to, preventive maintenance is a lot cheaper than completely.
absolutely. Now's the time to do it, so, before it gets worse. So.
Fantastic.
Okay. Well,
Thank you much.
Thank you very much.
I forgot to ask you, anybody had any questions, I guess. All right, the next one is, Brandon, you here? Brandon Cooks? Oh, there you are, you're hidden back in the back. And I know a little fella like you couldn't even see you back there, I tell you. Hiding behind Clayton, I guess Clayton, you're gonna have to lose some weight, man.
All right, we have two properties that are being proposed for condemnation. It's going to be 510 West Alley and 104 ABC South Sherman Avenue. I have some packets here for you. All right. The 104 South Sherman Avenue, I'm pretty sure everybody here is aware of that. The 100 block of South Sherman, it's the campers and trailers that are in the little dirt circle drive. They're pretty well, the damage is very easy to see. I don't think we need an inspection for that. What I need is permission to go forward with the condemnation, send out the first letters for them to come to a meeting.
That's on Sherman Avenue, if I could come back.
Yes, sir. There's about 4 or 5, a mixture of campers and trailers. They all share a address. They just label them ABC. They all share electricity off of one pole.
Have you talked with any of them as to what their anticipated plans are or anything, or is this?
Well, it's all owned by Tesla, Highway Tesla Properties. Mr. Gene, his properties.
Yeah, at one point, I know his son was coming up here talking about they were going to take care of.
Yeah, he did take care of the junk cleanup that we had asked him about. As far as the condemnations, there hasn't been any progress yet, and he hasn't kept in touch with me like he said he would.
Okay,
So this one, I would like to just get it on the papers and get the process going, just in case we need to force it.
okay.
I'll make that motion.
Motion?
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Let's go.
And the other one, a complaint was put in last month for the 510 West Alley. The complaint was that the building is falling apart, it's full of mold, and it's a hazard to the neighborhood around. I got the parish inspector to go check it out. He sent back his checklist recommending demolition because it's not cost effective to repair the building. There's a few photos that he took that are attached. With y'all's approval, I'll go ahead and send a letter for the next meeting so they can come and answer for it, see what we're gonna do after that.
Okay. It's a motion to accept the be able to send a letter.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Done deal. I want to kind of compliment Officer Crooks too, is we've been starting to get very aggressive on the things that don't come in front of the council, you know. Grass cuttings, we're going back trying to get that done. And he's been going through, I don't know if you noticed, we don't have any of the little pop-up signs. He's taking those off pretty good to keep it clean. And we're also working with the railroad to get those things done on their part. And so I know he's been working with them. Of course, they kind of, they're taking some responsibility, but some they may not. But if we can get them to do the majority of the grass cutting, anything that they don't want to do, because it's federal, there's a whole bunch of regulations that could create problems. We may just take it as a health hazard and the town just arbitrarily pick up that little bit that's left. But right now, we're trying to force them to do as much as they can do so that minimizes what we may have to do at the other end to ensure varmints and stuff is not, harassing our neighbors and those type of problems. We want to go through the process and get them to do as much as they can so it minimizes what we'll have to do.
If you like, I can explain that a little bit.
Yeah,
better.
if you don't mind.
So I've been in contact with the supervisor for the vegetation enforcement for the railroads. She's told me they're willing to cut the north and south of the railroad from Welty to Railroad Avenue, Bowers and Railroad. They said anything past that, because of the restricted area, it's too dangerous for their workers and they're not going to do it. They also sent me a federal regulation that says that their federal laws for the railroad supersede our local ordinances. So in theory, they don't have to comply with us. They don't have to cut it unless they see it as a danger to their railroad.
So to heck with the safety of our townspeople.
Their
That's how they-
ordinance for it only covers for danger to their railroad workers, possible fire hazards that affect the railroad,
But then that's where
but
we
it
would
doesn't
start.
apply to the local community. They said they want to work with us, and that's why they're going to cut from Welty to Railroad and Bowers. If they say anything beyond that, it's a danger to their employees because there's not enough room to evacuate if a train derails and things like that, and they're not going to do it.
Yeah, and that's all we're asking for them to get the majority of. Anything that's left, we'll figure out a way to be able to handle it. It's just before, we were doing it all. And that's not appropriate, but if, if I can get them to do what they're talking about doing, then we'll pick up whatever's remaining to be able to keep our citizens safe from, those type of things. Now, after you get beyond the subdivision and stuff, we're not gonna do any of that, beyond where we have houses and things like that. But the things that we are doing, that's very obvious along here, that should take care of it. I just will make sure, that we are, I know that I've had some people asking about what we're doing on it, and I wanted to make sure everybody's on the same wavelength, that we are taking aggressive steps, trying to get things
Mr.
done.
Bouquet, if you want the copy of that paperwork, I'll get it to you.
I appreciate it. I understand what you're talking about. But it sounds like to me that, the goodness of their heart, they're doing good.
She said they want to have a good relationship.
So that's good. I think that it's an improvement. Let's see where we are and we'll go from there. Great.
Any other questions for me?
Sometimes you gotta eat the elephant only one bite at a time,
Copy of the package you just gave me.
I have my copy, but I'll make you
Well,
another one.
you can have my copy, it's fine.
You don't need it.
No, I mean, I'll usually just look in the records if we do, so
Anything else?
appreciate everything you're doing.
Thank y'all.
Yes, sir. All right, the next item, I guess, is the sewer department report with James.
Good evening.
Hey, Tim.
Since the last council meeting, we changed out a flapper gasket on the west pump at John Dale. We changed out a shaft and power head on the west pump at U-Locket lift station. We jetted out a sewer clean out at 208 South Bauer Street. We responded to a sewer complaint at 805 West Miller, and upon arrival, all sewer cleanouts were clear. We also put the south side aerator back online, or in the process of rewiring the north aerator to put it back online. That's in our sewer pond. And we also ordered parts to have a standby shaft and power head on hand for any other breakdowns. And on a side note, I know everybody's aware this is Breast Cancer Month, so remember, men, real men can wear pink also.
Thank you much. And just to kind of remind you, we are trying to upgrade, as part of what he's working on, is trying to upgrade the reliability of equipment so that we're not having to repair things, make sure we try to think things out and try to put in preventive maintenance ahead of time so that we're not fighting the problems, and outages and backups on the sewer. So, it's, they're doing a good job of that. We still got a long ways to go on it though. All right, the next one is Clayton. You want to give us an update on the street?
Good evening.
Hey,
Okay, this past month, we dug out more ditches. We did some on South Bowers, South Store, and some on East Second. Almost all the street signs are back up. Had the low hanging tree limbs trimmed around town, over the streets. And I did contact Energy about burnt street lights, sent them an email with a list.
okay, I had mine right in front of my house. It's out
Yes.
completely, so I just,
And the asphalt companies, Paul said, they assured me next week. I know last meeting I said it was 2 weeks, but all the rain and stuff set them back. And we installed the stop signs on South Story, South Philbrick, on West First, Second, and Third to make these four-way stops. Y'all had made an ordinance for that a couple of months ago. Got that done. And we cleaned up Thompson for the homecoming parade.
yeah. Yeah, also, they are continuing, we're still continuing in the garbage pickup, and we may have got another vendor, a local vendor, to be able to start picking up, the limbs and everything using a grappler. That, that's a potential because we're trying to make sure as we bid out the garbage contract, that all we're going to expect from them is to pick up the cans.
Trash.
Yeah, the cans themselves, not, before it was if you could put it off to the side and pick up. Well, we're gonna handle that separately. We're gonna handle it through our own and not use, Waste Management or Republic or things like that. They will handle just strictly the garbage cans, and that's what we're setting up the contract for. For these other vendors are doing such a great job, and they don't have to come by every day. We may go to a little more extended schedule, like every 2 weeks or something like that. We're gonna see how it goes, but we're trying to do the same level of service without necessarily having the same level of charges that they're wanting to bill us for, and still not delivering, if you know what I mean, on the waste management stuff, so.
How much longer is the debris company gonna be picking up? Do we have any idea?
Oh, no, we're now kind of we're going on out from what we're using. Now, what will happen is we will not pick up major construction debris. Once we go through, and I'll get with Clayton, and we'll go through and certify streets that, hey, this one is done. If someone puts, like they did, 10 foot of construction debris out there, we will write them up as an ordinance enforcement and make them do it. But the small ones where, the people that are trying to keep done, whereas before Waste Management was supposed to do, and they never did in the last year and a half, that will be handled by this other company that we're going to contract with by per load to pick up. And, they will pick up like the big tree limbs, how before you had to tie them off and stuff. You ain't going to just stick them out there. They'll grab them and pick them up and haul them off. Those type of things. And if there's excess garbage, like in a bag, they would pick them up and haul them off. So we're kind of changing it around, and we've already got some of it in place to help us keep our town clean. Now, the problem is, we had such outrageous numbers on, the garbage bid, because they had to include all of that in their calculations. We're cutting it out. We'll handle it, through the local people that are wanting to. And if worse comes to worse, we will use our own people in our own cans, to pick up those type of things. Now, the only thing that will not be picked up, that somewhat is picked up now, is white goods. White goods will no longer be picked up by the town under any of the contracts. That will be up to the homeowner to dispose of at the thing or arrange for it to be done. And that's refrigerators, freezers, those type of things. We're trying to keep this cost competitive without having to increase significantly, but yet have a good pickup of our trash and trying to keep our towns beautiful. They will roll into the garbage cost section of it. Right now, we're still going against the FEMA costs that we've gotten, but it's about we've about reached the limit on that one. As soon as we do, we'll move it over to the garbage, and of course, we'll figure out once we get this final contract in for what they're going to charge us for the garbage, or we find, then we'll know the final numbers to do it at that point. So, but I just want to make sure y'all are aware of it, that we are aggressively still trying to do things that they're not doing anywhere else in the parish, but we also recognize our limitations, and our limitations is we're not going to do major construction after we make the pickups through all the stuff that we already recognize.
That's it.
That's a good one. And then the only other thing we got that's in your area, and Mr. Bouquet hadn't got back with me, is we talked about having, going to this program of putting in culverts. And what I'm going to recommend is that we continue with that. He has some concerns because of Attorney General, but as part of that, if we do, and I understand the concerns, that we would have to have a release from the property owner that we recognize putting culverts in may cause a little bit of a restriction, because you have an open ditch going to a culvert, and that we need to have that release if we end up being able to do this.
Yes, sir. The issue of release may be in recognition to a neighbor.
Well, I know, but that's,
That may be what.
well, I know, but
But I don't have any objection to them doing a release, but the real danger would be when
Well, I know, but we can't, you know, we control what we can control reasonably, and I don't anticipate that being a
I'm just
majority.
telling you what we're running up against. But I'm gonna look at it all again, and to be honest with you, I haven't had the time there, I've been in
I
Houston.
know, that's why I was just bringing it up, that,
But we'll look at that all very carefully.
yeah, because I know,
just wanna make sure that I'm advising you of all the issues that we have.
yeah, and I know that I do have a lot of citizens that are really wanting us to get along, whether we do it as part of our cost or do it as part of them helping. You know, I think the majority of the citizens want to see their streets, you know, their drainage underground, you know, with you know, streets that you can drive off of and not be parked on the street because you have a ditch. So, and I'm just saying, there seems to be a lot of support for that, and I told them, we'll keep pushing. I'm not gonna say absolutely, but let's, you know, so. All right. You got something you wanna bring up there?
Yes, sir.
Come on.
I have a question.
When is the homecoming parade?
Was,
Oh,
yeah,
oh, you missed it.
Friday.
It was-
Friday.
I missed it, sorry.
Yeah, you missed out how nice the street looked and all the flags are up, and we had,
I have a question about the trash cans.
yes.
How long are the trash cans supposed to stay out at the roads?
After it goes by, it's supposed to be picked up within a day, but I'm not sure that's
Within a
within an
day?
ordinance, anything.
Well, on the southwest end of the street that I live on, the rental properties there leave the trash cans out 24/7. So could we get that?
Well, that's, the first, you need to get with Crooks to make sure if we've got an ordinance that's
I
specific to
just wanted
state,
to
so
bring
I
it
don't
up
know.
because that's the rental property that we had so much trouble with, or I had so much trouble with it. That's why I had trouble with it, because they're doing this stuff now. They're not keeping up their property. They still have damage to the trailers that they hadn't fixed. They put shutters up on one or two of the trailers. But what's the shutter do when you're supposed to have skirting? The skirting's not on there, hadn't been replaced. They did a little bit right after the hurricane, but they hadn't done anything since then, so.
Do you know if our ordinance enforcer has been by there? I mean, have you had
No,
I mean,
conversations
that's-
with them? And-
Yeah, that's
I will
really-
have that conversation with them, but I wanted to bring it up to the council.
Okay, yeah.
Well, the
Because we had this conversation. This is why I had this conversation before you allowed them to move that property.
You're talking about on the corner of Fairview?
Yes.
Okay.
That's why I was so upset about it to begin with, because I knew we'd go back to this point right here.
yeah. I guess the first thing is, Cindy, you want to see if we got an ordinance enforcement in that? Because that's the first place we need to start. And if we do, then get with Crooks and make him, you know, make him aware, and he can go ahead and enforce it. If there's not an ordinance, you know, is that a question, and is that something we should put in there? Because I know we talk about it in the contract itself for the garbage and stuff,
Yes.
but I don't know if we talk about
I
it
don't
as,
think there is, but I can look.
I
Okay.
know that they say don't put your trash cans out until the afternoon
The day
before
before.
the day it's supposed to be picked up.
Yeah.
And I believe at one time they said, and they asked a request for you to pick up your trash cans at the end of the day that their trash has
yeah,
been
but
picked
that's
up.
what I say, that's a contract with that's not necessarily an ordinance thing.
In
and that's-
town, you mean
yeah.
for the
Yeah, as
residents?
far as an ordinance enforcement, and if we need to do an ordinance enforcement, you know, I don't have a problem, y'all don't have a problem, but we need to figure it out and say, here's it.
If we have some type of ordinance on its own, ask me specifically what it says, because I haven't looked at it in some time. I have to look at our ordinance, see what it does, and if it does, it's appropriate. And some of this goes back quite some time, and so it may not be still what we need to. We have something, we just have to look at it and review it.
See if we need it.
See what we need to do.
Okay. Fantastic. I guess then, hey Charles, I guess the water department, you wanna come give us an update on how the watering's going?
How y'all doing?
Hey, what's going on?
Hey, okay, water's Doing great. We finally got the filters and all the wells painted from the sanitary survey. That's completed. Sent in all paperwork to DHH.
So hopefully those audit findings will go away now.
Yes, sir.
is
They
what you're
should.
saying.
We shouldn't have no problems with none of that. It's all cleared up. We've got the north side of town from the tracks back pretty well all done. No more, I don't think we have any meters left to change on the north side. We're working on the south side. We've done pretty many in the last month.
Okay.
And something else.
I guess anticipating still making December or going probably going. to
I'm
another
hoping, yeah,
Assuming we don't have any
yeah,
major
since
problems.
we hired a new hand, and so it helped out to be able to get the guys out there with extra help, and they are doing a lot better with the help and stuff. Of course, vacation right now. One's on vacation, one's going to school next week,
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
As
We had
far-
a bunch of service line leaks too that we worked on in the past month.
Are we
That's
still
just-
finding a bunch of those? I know for a while there, y'all were working on them pretty consistently.
Yeah, and last couple of weeks, it kind of hit us again. They're back to back.
Because if it
And,
ends up being a cold winter, that's gonna
Yeah.
be
We got
issues too that we will have to.
but that's about it.
All right, well, thank you,
So-
appreciate it.
All right.
And the council, I want to bring you up on an issue that the auditors found. That's all right, it's on, and I'll like Cindy kind of talk about it, but it looks like we may have overbilled on some of our commercial rates because the software, our people did not understand the software. And the people we got to do it from Casale didn't set it up correctly, 100%. So we may have overbilled some of our commercial people, so there'll be some credits coming out. I've asked audit, MQB, to give us some controls that we can make sure that balances. You got two different systems, and nobody recognized that imbalance because you didn't have this problem before until we went to billing meters, and the people that put them in, we didn't have people that understood the system, so we always called Casale to be able to do it. And so we want to understand why this exists, how we can do to minimize it. Do you have any idea now of kind of what we're talking about as far as?
No, they're putting a report together to see what the usage was and what was billed and what should have been billed. And by Friday, they should have that report.
Okay. And so I'll ask Pat to send you, so you'll have an idea if it's, $20,000 for the period of time, or 5,000. We don't have an idea right now because.
It goes from, I believe, August of 2019 to September 30th.
And it had to do with the way you remember how we dropped the rate for smaller vendors back when we done that? When they put it in, somehow they gerrymandered it to make it hit, but they didn't do it the way that it should have been done. And that's what threw it off at that point. The small users, didn't get hurt, but it did affect the bigger users on the rates that were applied in the calculation.
And then those will receive a credit.
Yes.
Along with an explanation of what happened
Yeah,
and
yeah,
why they're.
yeah.
Huh?
Huh?
I'm sorry, no one's gonna be billed extra.
No, it's the other side. It was, and so I want to make sure it's right because we're trying to do it and that's the right thing to do. And they'll get, what happens is, yeah, and we may just apply it as a credit against their bill as opposed to do it. But then there'll be some that may no longer be here and there'll be a question of what do we do? Or
Will we have to
do we have to
refund
remit it to the state or what happens?
Refund
So.
their money.
But I just want to make you all aware of it. That's, doesn't surprise. The next item up, I guess, is Scooter. You want to give us an update on the fire department?
Absolutely. Good evening. All right, stats for September as follows. There were 17 medicals, 9 of those were deferred. There was 5 crashes, 1 mutual aid given, and 1 mutual aid received out of those. We had 10 crashes on I-10, 5 of them were ours, and 5 of them we gave mutual aid for. We had 11 fire alarms, 8 of them were mutual aid given, 3 of them were received.
We had one structure fire and one structure fire we gave aid to, 2 trash fires, 1 natural gas leak, and 1 investigation totaling 51. Just a couple of things. I would like to thank the council for coming out for the equipment dedication past couple of weeks ago. It's much appreciated. Waiting to hear back some more information on that, but I believe it's going to be in the Lanyap from what I was told. Also, this is Fire Prevention Month. If you'd like a safety walkthrough of your business or your residence, we're happy to help you out. Get with Captain Lewis. He can give you safety tips or pointers. And also, if you'd like a talk for your organization, again, get with Captain Lewis. He is our fire prevention officer. He'll be able to help you out with any of those needs. Just a quick couple things. We do have cold fronts coming in. That is our busy season. If you have fireplaces, please make sure you clean your chimneys. Make sure everything's nice and clean. If you have space heaters, give them 3 feet in all directions. Don't plug them into extension cords, just basic fire safety stuff. Really going to start pushing that just so we can keep our numbers down. So,
Couple of questions for you.
yes, sir.
First is, you know, I know we're shorthanded. What we doing trying to fill that position? I know we have at least one open position.
You have 1 open position currently, and that's something that's got to be revamped with the fire board. And as
Okay.
far as how they want to proceed and you want to proceed, as far as the hiring of another individual.
Yeah, and of course, we talked about even more, but I mean, that's something that they'll have to address. You
Yes,
know,
sir.
I'll support them, and I think the council here would support them, just, you know, if that's what it takes to keep us safe and.
Yes, sir.
calm.
That would be grant season time also, as far as
Yeah.
safer again.
Yeah, I'm just saying that, you know, I hadn't heard, I know the one that we normally supply, that you were waiting on, there was some issues about training or something like that that prevented us or
The other
delayed us.
training, well, the other training had fell through, but what my plan is what I would like to do, and that's something I would like to address with the fire board also, is when we get ready to hire another individual, is not hire them ahead of time until it is almost time for the academy, especially if they're uncertified. That way there's less downtime with us and more uptime on the other side of it. Not only to save money, but it's also more beneficial in the long run, because then we have a certified individual or we have an individual that didn't make it through the academy. It's just more beneficial all the way around.
What's the minimum age on that?
18.
Is there something that maybe we ought to start trying to hit to see if there are young people, you know,
I would-
graduating that may want to?
I would love to, but with all the COVID protocols still in place, it makes it difficult to be able to get into the schools. Like as far as fire prevention right now, this is a month that we normally go to the schools and teach fire safety. But with all these protocols in place right now, it's making it difficult for us to be able to operate on anything as far as getting into the schools or pushing our organization to be able to get new members.
Okay.
I mean, if anybody has any ideas, I'm more than welcome. And if you know of anybody that's 18 or older and able-bodied that's willing to learn and willing to serve their community, send them my direction.
Okay. The other question I have for you, and I'm gonna kind of hit on you, is, you know, we talked about the ordinance so that people can do
Yes, sir.
burn bins in their house to maybe cut down on the amount of debris that's put to the road, you know, related to trees and stuff like that. You know, I'll get a timeline when you might can look at that and get back with us.
I can have you something drawn up preliminary for next month.
Okay, well, I mean, if it takes longer, then that's fine.
No.
I just want to get a preliminary, because
I can have you
I've been, you know, we were wanting to update that and get that updated in line with all the other things we're trying to do on the trash.
I'll be happy to have that done for the next month as far as something preliminary for y'all to look at.
Fantastic, thank you.
Okay, anybody else? All right, again, if y'all have anything as far as fire prevention wise, please get with Captain Lewis. He'll be happy to help y'all. All right, thank you.
Yes, sir. Keith, you want to give us a police department update?
Good evening. Our stats: 59 total offenses, 393 tickets and summons, 14 traffic accidents, 1 with injuries, 16 arrests, and they handled 300 calls for service. I want to thank Daniel. I'm sure Vanessa feels the same, giving us opportunity to judge homecoming. That was pretty fun. First time I got to do that. Appreciate you. Did a good job. And then the only other thing I got is I want to ask you to remember the family of Master Trooper Adam Grabert, who was killed in the line of duty Saturday. Just keep that family in prayer, because that really hit home, especially for me, and those poor people are fixing to go through a lot. So I would ask that y'all would keep them in your prayers and remember them and pay honor to that man.
They did make an arrest, correct?
Yes. And that's pretty much all I got.
All right. We're just gonna make note that Keith he's fixing to send one of his officers to motorcycle training
Yes.
here, and we also, we closed out an LGAP grant, so now the one that we have open, outstanding, should be filled fairly quickly. We're open to get that back so that we can purchase that motorcycle, but the training we're sending to, they supply the motorcycle as well as the defensive driving of everything and that, so we're trying to get that all set up, I think.
Yeah,
That's-
we want to utilize that for some of the areas that we have
Habitual.
frequent speed
Yeah.
complaints.
Within
They do address, I mean, obviously, our ticket stats show that they're enforcing speeding in this town, but this would be another tool in the toolbox to slow people down and keep safety.
How long at the academy will they have to train?
It's, I think he's going for the full week or 2 weeks, but what we were predominantly waiting on is the grant to get the vehicle, and Paul told me that today,
Yeah,
so that should
basically,
be soon.
we didn't realize that we submitted for one of the grants that we normally do, but they only allow you to have 2 open at any time, and we had one that was the camera that was on the tower that got blew over. And we were not able to close it because the hurricane come and knocked it out. And so we had to put it back in and take pictures of it and show them that it was working before they'd close it out. And so we just got that closed out about 2 weeks ago. So then this one, they've already received it. They just don't do anything on it till, we close out the other one, so.
Can you tell us who the officer is, or it's not appropriate?
Piper, one of our patrolmen,
No.
Piper. Yeah, that's the officer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. He's been with us a while.
Yeah, and I guess, Keith, you are going to be having to fill some replacements, and we're losing, I guess,
Yes,
one.
we lost another officer to another job. We're working on that.
So, but we're being aggressive on it. I mean, just to.
Oh, yeah, I mean, for some people, this is not the choice career, unfortunately. But we're looking at some. We should be able to fix that soon.
All right. Thank you much.
Thank y'all.
All right. The next item is, we had Jeff Golis, who was our representative on the fire board, resigned. And I'd ask a few people, I guess, that were interested to send me a email listing their qualifications and why they wanted to. And of course, we talked to one guy that kind of, after he found out there was somebody else, he did not send me an updated email, but I did put a copy of the email for Gil. And so I would recommend that the town approve Mr. Gil to be on the representative for the town on the fire board.
What's the wording?
Oh, I don't know, Cindy?
Well, I guess what do we do? The mayor is making a recommendation to appoint this gentleman. So a motion by the council approving accepting the mayor's recommendation for the town's appointee for the fire board.
I move to accept the mayor's appointment, Mr. Adrian Diod.
Second?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Second, okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Then the next item, discuss, approve the appraisal. What happened is, of course, I don't know how much y'all are familiar with, we were looking to buy the gas station property, and they ended up going under contract. Someone is going to buy it and remove the tanks and clean it up. So we were also looking at the property right next door to, which is the Duncan property. We went ahead and then that's when y'all authorized us to go ahead and test it to make sure there's no contamination, or if there is contamination, we could get the state to pay for it. We have asked for an appraisal, and it was, at one point, we asked that the appraisal assume that there's no environmental contamination on it. Just, that's kind of like, hey, if there wasn't this environmental, what would the land be worth? And we're waiting for that to get back with us. We did issue that out, but it sounds like it may be a few more days, so it'll probably be the next meeting before we look at it. But as soon as I get that, I will forward you that. We are also waiting for the final results on all the testing, because, that would affect what price we may offer them for it, as well as what the state may be able to reimburse us for that property. But it's that property right next door to Smitty, is it Smitty's? Is that the name of the place? Yeah, it's right next door to it, and it's owned by the Duncans, and I guess it's bordered by a trailer at the back, that Gene Augustine's, and that may be something we'll look at too at that point. But right now, we just want to take care of it, work one action at a time to be able to get to where we need to go. So there's really not much to approve at this point. It's just an update on what's going on with that. And as soon as we get that information, we'll get that to you. All right, the next item is we looked at trying to clean up, with the, clean both this building and also periodically the building at the community center. And we've tried a few different janitorial services, and some of them didn't perform anywhere near, and some of them did a very good job. And so, we looked at it and determined that that's probably in the best interest, because our people are all working on sewer, water issues, things that need to get done. And it appears that the pricing is competitive, and they appear to do a really good job. In addition, we were going to contract with them so that our agreement, whenever somebody rents out the community center, we charge they had to put a $300 deposit on, that if they clean it up, they get their money back. Well, if they don't, the company will come and meet our requirements, and they would charge $360. So we're going to up the deposit to $360. If a person uses it and cleans it up, they get the full amount back. But if we've got to bring somebody in, we've got somebody that'll be contracted at this rate, that we know the rate is, and we know the quality. So this agreement will be, they will clean once a week this building, and once a month the community center. And anytime that on this stuff that we have to have done to meet the requirements of the contractual also is all put into the agreement. Normally I could have done it just on a month-to-month basis, but I'd rather get contracted, lock-in rates and for a long term, because I know we're not going to be able to do that type of activity with everything else that we've got going on with our people. And I don't want to hire new people just for cleaning stuff. I mean, I want to get the most value out of our money, which is, having the water and the sewer and the roads and all these other things done, which are more important to our customers, our citizens, than spending time. At this rate, we probably couldn't compete with it anyway, with all our benefits and everything that we pay for. So
What's the person that does it now? He's employed by the town. Is there a reason why he's not going to do it anymore?
we don't have nobody doing it. We kind of bring people in to do it and try to push it, but then we'll go 3 or 4 weeks without cleaning anything, and it gets like the police department gets really funky and stuff, and we just don't have anybody that can do it.
I thought Donald does.
Well, he does some of it, but they also have him out cutting grass on the weeds and doing all of that. So, and he's not gonna be able to keep up with the level of cleaning that we've asked for. We're asking for cleaning that is COVID, you know, you spray things down, climb up, they clean up the things, they clean up everything. And I just soon have it come and do it immediately and do it all at once.
$360 a month or a week?
No, that's per cleaning, a week.
So $360, how many employees is it gonna take to clean and how many hours? For them to come to $360 a
Well,
day?
you know, our base rate is $11 minimum, plus all your benefits. And so you figure about 40% on that, you're talking roughly 11, and half of that is $17 an hour is what we would pay people to clean up.
I think that's a lot of money for one day a week, for one
Well, I know-
building, when we
Well,
have
it's not
somebody
that-
that's doing it
it's-
already.
Well, they haven't been, that's the problem. And that's why we ended up having to spend $4,000 to do a complete thorough cleaning of this for COVID purposes and for making sure that it's done to an ideal amount. And we paid more than that over time. And I'm just not going to let it go down. Now, you know, you can disallow the contract and I'll just do it on a monthly basis because I have it built into my budget for cleaning and stuff. But I'm trying to be thoughtful about the way we're doing it because I want my people to be out doing the sewer, the water, not doing cleaning up in the building because that's not the most value-added service for us. You know, if I have to get someone to go and do the ditches or I have to get someone to do the water lines, we got to pay them $30, $40 an hour versus our own people that are 12 and 15.
So the guy who's doing it right now, he's not gonna do it anymore and he's gonna be put
Well, no,
out?
he's going to do some. You know, just because you do it once a week don't mean you don't still keep bathrooms clean. He still is going to do daily activity, but this is a thorough cleaning, waxing the floors and all of that. He doesn't do that, no.
And so if they clean up the community center, that's an extra $360 that they're gonna get to clean up the community center?
That's going to be once a month, yes.
Mr.
The
Paul,
the other 360 is going to go to when a person signs the contract. They have to put a deposit down to 300. We're going to change that to 360 because that is what they will charge us if we have to clean it up. Now, that's even more difficult because you're talking about weekends and nights and things like that we don't have people available or aren't available because they already worked their full week during the year, during the week. That we would have to pay overtime and we couldn't keep it up before the hurricane. We sure can't do it right now.
So when are they gonna clean? On a weekend?
Well, no, on the community center, they will do it once a month.
City Hall?
Oh, no, the
Police
city hall,
department.
they're doing it during the week. is
How
what I'm
can they
assuming.
clean and wax and do everything if there's people inside these offices working? How can
They
they do
work
that?
them out. They walk them out, just like we did whenever, Keith, whenever you done it. They asked y'all to step out and they went in and done with a crew of 3 or 4 people to clean everything. So they're very efficient. Yes, if it's needing, they will do whatever they need to do to get done, to keep it clean. And because I asked them about that, we asked them about, hey, what about this deep cleaning? They said, you won't need the deep cleaning because we'll do it on a constant basis to make sure everything's clean so you don't have to do a deep cleaning.
So we're not here every day, it seems like an awful lot of money. Maybe it would be a good idea to do it 3 or 4 months, month by month.
Oh, we can. I mean,
reevaluate and
you
say,
know.
okay, look, they're doing a great job, it's definitely worth it.
My problem is, though, the only reason I was wanting to lock them in, I mean, we could do it month to month and never brought it up here.
Yes, sir.
But I wanted to lock them in on the current price for at least a year. Because I'm afraid that with, you know, everything being like it is, every time I turn around, I'm getting a price increase from somebody. You know, and just like our cutting the grass, you know, we locked in the grass cutting on that on a contract basis for a year. Right now, I guarantee you, if we went out and bid for that, for what they're doing on the grass cutting in the park, we'd pay significantly more, but they're honoring their contract because we've got it set in stone for that amount. Now, you know, when the contract expires, we may have to, and at that point, we will, on that one, reevaluate, well, do we want to do it internally? But at the time that we done it, they were cheaper than us doing it, you know, if you take in consideration the amount of people that spent and the valuation, because, you know, we pretty much put benefits in place for our employees that we're trying to make sure we do. Now, if you cut out benefits and things like that, it'd probably be cheaper for our employees, but, you know, it's not at this point on a fully loaded cost basis. But if, you know, if you want, I mean, I can operate on a month-to-month basis. That's not a problem. I just, you know, like I say, I would just bring it up, awareness. I'm not hiding anything, you
Sure,
know, but.
no, for sure.
But then-
I'd feel better with the month by month, but that's just me, whatever they think.
Okay, that's fine. I mean, if that's what you want.
Well, if we get locked into something for a year and we find out that they're really not
No,
cleaning it like we want, then we're
well,
stuck
if they're
paying
not,
it.
you're allowed to be able to terminate for cause anytime that you do it. Just,
But if you sign an agreement, you sign an agreement. How can you get out of it if you sign it for a year? You're stuck paying them that much per
as
month
long
or
as they're
year.
doing what they're supposed to do.
Correct.
Like with any contract, if you want to, now, I'm not saying you would go through it, but, you know, just like anything that we have, you know, you have to enforce it and make sure it's enforceable. And then, you know, Mr. Bouquet hadn't had a chance to look at the contract. We're just talking about it right now, and it would all be contingent on him feeling comfortable with it. I mean, you know, that's the other thing. I'm bringing it up ahead of schedule just to kind of get y'all's feel, because, you know, if you don't want to, that's fine. I'll just go month to month, and, you know, we'll address it in the budget and everything else, because it's in there, so.
I'd be curious to know how many people are gonna be here doing the cleaning and how many hours it's gonna take them to do it, to come to this $360 once a week. I mean, that's what I'd like to know.
I don't know, he just said maybe 2 or 3, depending on what was gonna be needed, but he did say the waxing and stuff would be extra. He did
Okay,
say
I would-
waxing would be extra.
You don't have to wax once a year and then buff after that. You don't have to wax but once a year.
Okay, well, I'll go ahead and, just at this point, we'll go ahead and do it from month to month. And now, I am going to go ahead and increase the deposit to $360. The people will get that back, you know, if you rent it and you clean it up, you know, you'll get that money back. But we have to have that, because I do not have anybody on the weekends to be able to do that, and they would be willing to come out on the weekends.
That's fair.
And the other is, we're only gonna use them at the community center once a month, you know, irregardless of people cleaning up, just to make sure it's, you know, to the standards it ought to be. Okay, we'll go ahead and, I'll handle that internally on that one, and I'll get back with you, Julie, on all that information you're asking. Just we'll see, we'll get them, you know, we're gonna use them a couple of weeks, so by the next council meeting, I'll be able to quote you exactly who, what, when, where, whatever you wanna, you know.
Okay.
The next item on the agenda is discussing the date for Halloween trick or treat. It looks like October 31st falls on a Sunday. It looks like, I know Preon Lake and all of them are doing it on the 31st. I haven't heard if anybody was going to do it on that Saturday in lieu of the Sunday. So Keith, is that kind of what your officer?
Anybody else was moving the day either.
So we'll just.
Last report I saw on KPLC, nobody was changing the day.
Okay, so if it's all right with y'all, we'll call October 31st, the Sunday, the official date for trick or treat in the town highway.
What times do you think are fair? By 5:30, it's dark, correct? The time's gonna change within another week or so, okay?
So what time do you want to call from?
The same time as last year, I don't have my notes.
Like 5:30 to 7:30?
Last year, keep it the same.
5:30 to 7:30.
5:30 to 7:30. Because people that get off at 5 o'clock, how are they gonna, you know, if they wanna pass out, to give them time to get home?
So 5:30, 7:30 is good, I guess.
7:30.
So 5:30, 7:30, Keith, be all right? The guys will have, okay? All right, we finally got our financials in, so you should have had a packet of three items. The July, the August, and the preliminary on the September. Be aware on that, we still haven't gotten all of the bank statements, so you really can't do it. But as far as August goes, we've gotten everything straightened out and made sure all our financials are okay. I'll go over it real quick, just FYI. As you're aware of, our sales tax, which you have a sales tax page, we're still above budget. Even this month, we're above budget. Not nearly as much as a double that we were the previous 2 months, but we are still significantly above on our sales tax budget. And the reason I say that is the September hasn't been corrected for that, so you're not going to see it in the September on the revenue. I would say use the September information is mostly on the expense side. I know they've got a few things they need to correct on the revenue side that we need to recognize, and that's all part of the reconciliation process on all of that. And of course, you've got paid invoice reports which show the invoices by vendors on that. And it's generally, if you look at the August revenue, we are doing really well. Above budget, basically. Well, not on that one, but we're at 13 to 17, but then part of that revenue difference is there certain things we only get once a year and we haven't got. That's the transfer of 150,000. But if you look at most of the specific items, we're doing really good. Property tax, you don't get most of it till January, February, March. Sales tax, we're way ahead. The occupancy tax, that's doing good. Actually, we're going to get above budget on that. That's just the first one. We're already at a point for a prior quarter that should coming in. The beer tax comes in very slow, but it's ahead of schedule. The franchise tax, you see all that's going to come in. And the energy tax is going to be significant. And you all know because you see electric bills that are double last year. So, of course, we get a franchise tax as a percentage of that. So that will be very significantly above. Telephone, that one has fallen behind, but that's just by the nature of people not using land tax. And of course, we're just now starting the video poker, and that's one we usually get 15 to 18,000 a month. The only reason the video poker is low is because the first couple of months they keep that money till they meet that magical $5 million across the state, and then at that point, they return it to us going forward. So we always know that the first couple of months, that's basically nothing, until they reach that period. But, we do expect, and I don't see anything that would indicate anything less than that because, all the businesses that's going through at the truck stop, a lot of that keeps that casino business going, part of it. So, occupational license, that's always late. That usually goes at the second half of the budgeted year. You don't see anything the first couple of months. Insurance premium, that's actually very early. Normally, we don't see them this early in the year on insurance premium, and we're seeing pretty significant dollars. But with the insurance costs going up, that's another one that we'll see an increase on, just by the nature of the business. Intergovernmental, that's basically the casino funds. We're in line about where we ought to be. What happens in January, they do a year-to-date gross up, and that's when we get the big $150,000. And to that point, this 16 to 18,000 is about a normal per month basis. Fines, Keith's doing pretty good. Not quite up to budget, but then this time of year it's usually slow, and then we pick up in January for those fines going in. So as far as expenses go, you see that administration, we're slightly below, but then we paid some yearly fees on that. Police is basically right about where we expect to be on all of that. So, there's nothing to complain on that. You can look at the rest of them. We're doing pretty good on all of that. The sales tax water improvement, the insurance claims, you'll see that we did not budget for that, but that's insurance claims that we got for the community center, for the, the roofing and all of that. We pushed everything on all of this hurricane stuff, the reimbursements and expense. We pushed it all through sales tax one, even though, it's not really, it impacts a number of other areas, just to keep it easy, because we got so much that's FEMA related, and we wanted to capture it all in one call center for FEMA, for insurance, for those type of things. So 266 is some of our insurance reimbursements. When we get FEMA reimbursements, they're put in there. And of course, you saw earlier this year, we got the police jury road and drainage from one of our projects that we finally closed off. And the 90,000, that's what we're spending on the, that we received, that we're spending on the cleanup. And that's why I say at the end of this month, we ought to be pretty close to that, and then we'll be transferring it over to water, sewer, and utilities, where it really should be going forward, because we're going to continue using them. Of course, capital outlays, that's just some of the things that we have coming through. And then, of course, you see the Hurricane Laura expense. We're still getting some of the final invoices for the original cleanup. And that's, of course, going to be reimbursed by FEMA, but we have to pay for it initially. Parks and streets, there's not really much. I guess the only other thing is when you get over to City Waterworks, which is page 29, page 30, the water fees, revenue fee, like I say, some of that, we're above what we're doing, but that's usage based, but some of that is, there's going to be a little bit of credit, but it's not going to be significant. I'm talking about, I'm assuming that the reimbursement may be in the range of 15 to 20,000 for the 3-year period, so it's not going to be very big, but that's where it's coming in. The sewer maintenance fees are above budget because the water is above budget. That's just an impact. There's a associated, for every gallon that goes through, you have to pay through water. That's the way we value the sewer. We don't have meters on the sewer side, and that also is a place that we can, if we have a problem where a person has a leak, while we can't adjust the water per se, we can adjust the sewer because it's not metered, and make note of it. I mean, that's one of the things that we found out. That's the way that we will, if a person has a water leak and their bill is normally $100 and it ends up being a $500 water bill, and they didn't know they had a leak, that's where we'll be able to adjust it, is through the sewer fee. The water fee, we're pretty much handcuffed in that you have to be on what went through it. But and I'm just letting y'all know, because as we go to this metering, it's going to be even more critical, on metering of customer accounts. As far as expenses, we're right on line, but part of that is because we've got a $1.6 million, it says limit of harvest, but that's that fee. That's what we're expecting to have to pay to fix all of that stuff in the sewer. Now, if we're really lucky, we're going to get FEMA to pay for the majority of that, so that cash will stay for some other purposes. But I'll take a worst case scenario in this case, because we know we were going to have to do it either way. So, other thing I want to bring up to you then, okay, that's everything as far as the August. The September, you can kind of look through the expenses if you've got any questions. Like I say, don't focus on the revenue. As soon as they get that finished and get that reconciled, I'll have them send you out the September actuals to make sure y'all see what the bottom line is. But there's a lot of things that are not in that don't get done until we get the billing statements on the revenue side. So, but as far as expenses go, we're basically right in line with what we expected on the budget. Some of that is we did pay like insurance. You pay for the full year. We pay it early, so it says, hey, you're right at expense. In reality, if you took 1/12 of that, it would be a lot less. So just be aware there are certain things in there that you do pay yearly fees on that do skewer a little bit at the police department and with us. It says, yeah, we're right on budget, but in reality, we're below budget if you take that that part of the cost out. So, anybody got any question? Oh, the other thing is, Pat, update on the fences around the, around all the stuff, where we at on that?
Sewer pond, they were hoping to finish it this week, so I got my fingers crossed on that. There was a couple of lift stations we're waiting on bids for, from a change perspective, that's
Okay. So, but we're hopefully that we'll have everything up to snuff as far as around the sewer ponds for safety and all of that. And that is also something that we will get reimbursed by FEMA on. It's just, we have to pay for it initially, and then we'll get it back from FEMA at some point in time. Just out of curiosity, the last FEMA payment we got, GOSA withheld 20%. Have we got that yet?
They haven't given it back to us anymore. We have a meeting, a FEMA conference call meeting, and that will be brought up.
Yeah, because if they don't, I want us to get a hold of Troy Romero and raise hell that FEMA has given us the okay, and they're very satisfied with it. Yeah, and they gave it to them, and they're sitting on it, holding our money, because they didn't want to attend the meetings that they could have attended to answer the questions. And so I'm very upset that they want to, this is the same problem I think they have with the school board. Is FEMA gave them the money and everything for the school board, and GOSIP is sitting on it at the state level, and that's not appropriate. Okay, does anybody at the audience have something they want to bring up to the council? Please come up and state your name and everything, and let us know what you got.
What's going on, Mr. Mayor? It's Julie, Daniel, how y'all doing? John, I'm John. Lights at the park? No,
Yes.
we're gonna need some lights.
Okay.
Light towers ain't gonna work. We tried light towers, my company has 3 light towers, we put them up, and they're just not high enough. If we can get like we only need 2 poles for temporary, and
Per
lights.
field?
No, just that one main field. So all the lights on the girls' field, we have a total of 14 bulbs that are out. I got a company that was gonna give us a man lift, but they don't have a man lift to go up 65 foot. The company that has the man lift don't wanna give it to us, they wanna charge us
Well-
$450 a day, so.
Just give us
Mr.
Pat
Pratt,
about the
yeah.
man lift, with the man lift, if they still want to give it to us, and
Well,
they need a
it's-
man lift, see if Pat.
The one
we
he
can-
wants to give us is only like a 30 foot, and it ain't gonna reach the top of them poles.
No, I'm saying if they're going to give us the light replacements.
Oh, no, this is for the man lift. They're gonna let us rent it for free for the day.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was
But
fixing to say,
My brother works for the company Redfish
Yeah.
Rental, and
no, that's fine. Go ahead and
Yeah.
get with Pat to get the man lift. We'll
Yeah.
rent off a man lift to be able to reach it,
yeah,
and that stuff.
they're about 65, 70 foot poles out there, and we need 14 bulbs to change, and we're gonna need at least 1 pole would do perfect. I mean, I could put lights on the front of that concession stand off the top, just to set up.
That's something I want to have Pat.
I got the
look
lights lit up tonight, so when you circle around, just check it out. And
Now, you're talking about girls'
the
field,
main
right?
field, the girls' field's good. I just need about 3 bulbs on the girls' field.
But that's the one that you're taking and
Well-
turning it into the buddy ball.
Yeah,
football, right?
we're not doing
Yeah, but
nothing. We're not
that's
spending
not
nothing
gonna
over there.
happen for a while. They're
Okay.
going to use it.
We're gonna
for
use it
right
for rec, but we're gonna we just still need to get it ready because we got a 5:30 game and a 7 o'clock game, and 7 o'clock game's gonna be pitch dark. But the lights are good on there. We just need some bulbs. But the main field where the concession stand is now,
You say the main field, talking about the one in the middle
one
or
right
the
in the
one in
middle.
the back?
It has a total
One
of
in the
2
middle.
poles, but we
Yeah,
got
no,
1 light
this is-
per pole. If we just set up a quad on each pole, it would light up that whole field. So we wouldn't have to put up a temporary pole.
Okay, why don't you get with Pat on
talked to
that, let
Clint
him,
about it a while
let him
back.
kind of look at it and just propose something for us,
Okay.
see what we can do. Because, we are trying to keep it as minimal. So light, they can't get tall enough, light plants for something like that?
No, the light plants go about 30 foot, and we tried it. We brought the lights out. We had a little thing at night to come out and just
Just see
try
how
them
it
out to
works?
see what they would light up, and they don't light up. They're not tall enough. They light up a good area, but to be able to light the whole field up, to be able to see the ball and to be able to see anything, we've seen it.
The backfields are okay?
Backfields are good, but they're just missing some bulbs. I mean, if I get some bulbs there, and I think they got one that's kind of dangled down, if we put that back up there, which if we had the man lift, I'm more than happy to get up there and do it myself.
Yeah, I don't mind for him for sure getting us a man lift on that now, and I'll let Pat kind of work at it, just kind of see what the cost is. I mean, if it's reasonable, I
It's
don't have a
$450 a
problem.
day for that man lift. I
Well,
already priced it.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about for the old light pole, having to put a light pole on.
Yeah.
It's pretty expensive.
It's about $1,500.
Oh, is that all?
Yeah.
Oh, I was thinking like 15,000 to put a light pole up.
Oh, I mean,
You know,
I can get
you know, I don't know, hey, I don't have
Mr.
an
David
idea,
from
but
Crowley,
I'm
he's
just
willing to
sitting
give
there
us
thinking
as
you know,
many
if it's
poles as we
something
want.
like
They just
that,
put it
but-
in a new park over there. I
Yeah.
talked to David, he said, man, if y'all want them poles,
but
come
if
get them.
you're
They already got
talking
the lights
about
on and
that
everything.
range, yeah, we can do that, you know, that's why I was wanting to make sure is,
Yeah, it's just to drill and them light towers wouldn't be good with the little kids running around touching. We'd have to put a little temporary fence around them. And that's another thing we was thinking about when they was out there running.
that's okay, that's what I'm saying, I just wanna make sure we have an idea, cause I don't know how to estimate that, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think,
I'd rather Pat, and he'll get that numbers, and I feel comfortable in his checks and
Gotcha.
everything, and get us a number, and then we'll look at it, and if it's reasonable, I mean, you know, if it's $100,000, I might have to,
Oh,
I might
yeah.
balk a little bit, but
No.
if it's 10,000.
The mounds, we just got the mounds
We'll make it
in,
work,
and-
you know.
he, Mr. Pack bought us some mounds and they look awesome out there. Brand new bases. We got that front field set up. I'm working
Well,
on
we're
the girls field.
we're just trying to get you through a year, you
Oh,
know,
man.
so we can build those other fields.
Hey, but the mounds we can reuse all the time
Yeah.
for on our new fields, and that's what's good about them.
Okay, so, you got anything you want? Yeah, just make sure you get with him, cause, you know, like I say, he kinda, you know, I feel real comfortable, and he's worked that area and knows, you know, hey, how can we keep the costs low, but yet provide what's needed?
Yeah, we had 511 before COVID sign up, so we're gonna have. I got a feeling we got a lot more kids coming this
I
year.
talked with Tony, Stelly.
Yeah,
What I like to ask y'all to do is, when you have it, it doesn't change anything, but I need to know how many people play inside town, you know, that live within the city
District.
limits versus outside. And it's not, y'all,
Oh, yeah.
y'all continue on, but I want to be able to, because they're talking about helping us out on, you know,
I think-
some of our costs and stuff.
Yeah.
And if I could sit there and say, hey, you know, 75% is outside the town, we don't mind doing it, but, you know, help us to meet the
yeah.
needs of the
we
community.
have all that records showing where they're like once from. We got probably 10 from Lake Charles. Got a lot coming from Welsh and.
No, I'm okay.
Yeah.
I just want to be able to show and
I
say,
got you.
you know, say, hey, you know, because he's agreed to contribute whatever, you know, some of the costs and stuff.
Definitely.
And I want to build the case so that he can say, oh yeah, you know, hey, in this district, you know, we're doing all this, so please. But as far as we're going to do, we're still going to do our thing. I just want to be able
Oh,
to
yeah.
say that.
So a couple more other things. The grass. I know you said they were cutting the grass in the park. So every other week they cut the grass in the back. The front field they cut, the back coach pitch field and the big field, the part by the basketball court, we don't use it, but I'm just letting you know. But the coach pitch field we do use, and they don't cut that grass every week, like they do the other grass.
You looking at Pat to find out what's going on with that?
I mean, I don't know.
That's good. I mean,
If you don't tell us, we don't know.
The next thing we had to contact the cops a while back. They one of the kids almost got hit by that front field from some kids coming from the basketball court. They were driving, and I'm talking they haul butt to that back gate. We used to have that back gate locked. I don't know why it's not locked now. After the hurricane, they opened it up, and I like to lock that thing back up because them cars are
they driving through quite a
they're
bit?
horrible. Like they almost hit one of our little ones that was back there, and
Is there a reason why we don't want to go back and relock that? I mean,
That shouldn't be locked.
they had actually
That should
cut
not
that.
be locked. That
Should
gate
be
should not
closed.
be locked.
shouldn't be locked.
It shouldn't be locked because that's an emergency exit for if there's an emergency in our area.
Oh, it used to stay locked all the time.
And it shouldn't have been.
Probably should be. Could we?
No,
maybe
can we
look
close
into
it though? We can close it though, so that somebody has to stop to get out and open it.
I think too many people utilize it to go through town. I don't do that. I don't go through the park. I go around.
No, but I'm saying, if we close it, not locking it, just close it where somebody's got
Oh, Yeah,
to
put a
stop.
little
to
clip
open
or something
up,
on it.
Yeah.
You know, then,
He said,
then,
you said lock. It
I'm
should-
just saying, it used to be locked. Somebody
It could be
actually went back there and
closed,
cut the
but not
lock
locked.
after the, before, I
and
think it
that's
was
what
before
I'm
the
saying.
hurricane.
So we close it where somebody has to physically stop to get out.
It should
And
not
open
be
it.
locked.
But that's
That
fine.
little, I mean,
I
Rocca
called
came
back
out and
a
talked to
while
him,
back. They
and
said it should not be locked.
it was pretty, got intense. They were, I mean, driving way too fast in the
Well,
park
no,
for that.
that's what I'm saying. But if we close it, then they don't have an option but to stop.
I got
There's
you,
nothing
yeah.
else to open the gate.
Yeah, it don't have to
out.
be locked. I understand the
Yeah.
Right.
emergency exit part,
Right.
yeah,
You need an outlet,
yeah.
an exit.
Everything
And of
else
course,
is,
we're putting up cameras, we need to start capturing, hey Keith, on the camera stuff, we need to make sure, because, we've already put that, hooked up in that thing, where we can start catching those numbers of those cars going through there. I mean, we're gonna close it anyway, but,
Range of the camera, we should have capability for it, yes.
yeah, so let's see about if we can't do that.
We need a complaint, and a date, and a time.
Okay. Well, no, but I'm saying, I want to make sure we kind of start catching that, because we got those cameras, that's why we put them up there, to be able to identify things like that. But as far as closing the gate, I'm okay with closing it, we won't lock it.
Yeah.
We'll physically make it to where you have to lift the lever up to open it,
to be able to drive through. Well, they have the walk-through gate and they got the drive-through gate. That's,
Well, I know, but I'm saying on the drive-through, you have to push it back to be able to drive
able to
through.
open it,
I mean,
yeah.
but it don't take but, a minute to do that,
I got you.
but, okay. Anything else?
Appreciate y'all. That's it.
All right. Anybody else have anything they'd like to bring in front of the council? All right. I guess we'll go. Julie, anything?
Congratulations to Daniel Hennigan, Teacher of the Year.
Oh, man. Not only a coach, but a good teacher. Dang. All right.
What year?
Hey, we gotta have. Vanessa, Daniel, let's win the next game. Make us all really. For long, we'll be putting a cape on you, when you come up here. All right, then I entertain a motion to dismiss.
So moved.
Second.